Hey, it's Chris. Welcome to Square One Module 6. In this module, I'm going to show you how to identify and eliminate the health-destroying stress in your life. I think this is one of the most important modules in the course because every single cancer patient I've ever talked to, and I've talked to hundreds, had major stress in their life from a variety of sources. Many of them also had significant traumatic events in their life leading up to their diagnosis. I call those stress triggers or cancer triggers, and we'll talk about those as well. Stress is a major contributor to disease. And let me just start with my own non-scientific opinion here. I think that stress accounts for at least 60% of health. It might actually be 99%, but I think at least 60% of health and healing is related to stress. The reason I say that is because I've seen people, quote unquote, do everything right and still not get well. And oftentimes those people had major emotional issues. Bitterness, negativity, unforgiveness, and fear. They had major stress in their life that they didn't deal with. If you don't address the stress in your life, then it can outweigh anything else you do. So all the diet, the supplements, the juicing, the cancer clinics in Mexico, all of that can be outweighed by stress. Before we get into specific stressors, we need to start with an overview because you need to understand what happens in your body when you're stressed, and you need to understand where stress comes from. Stress comes from all negative thoughts and emotions. Fear, anger, bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness, jealousy, envy, guilt, shame, insecurity, regret, worry, and anxiety. All negative emotions cause stress, first in your mind and then in your body. Now, your body is intelligently designed to save your life. Let's say you're confronted by a wild tiger. When you see that tiger, your mind interprets the tiger as danger. Then that thought translates into an emotion, which is fear. Then that emotion triggers a physical response in your body. That's what we know as fight or flight. And immediately, your body starts pumping out stress hormones. The two main ones you've heard of are adrenaline and cortisol. Adrenaline can give you extra strength and power to fight off an attacker or to run faster or to lift a car off someone who's trapped underneath. It's like Superman. And cortisol gives you energy. And the way cortisol gives you energy is it tells your liver to convert glycogen to glucose and then dump that glucose into your bloodstream. And that glucose, which is sugar, circulates to all of your cells and gives your muscles fuel to use to either fight or to run away. That's why when you're anxious or nervous or upset, you get a little bit twitchy, right? You get the shakes. It's because your muscles are charged up and primed for action. So adrenaline and cortisol are pumping, and they're working together to give you power and energy to fight for your life or run away. Their job is to give your body energy where it's needed most in an emergency. So these hormones also switch off parts of your body that are not essential in a short-term, life-threatening situation. They switch off your digestive system because you really need that energy to fuel the muscles in your legs to run. They switch off your reproductive system because that's not necessary in fight or flight either. Stress hormones even switch off your immune system. Stress hormones also switch off parts of your brain. The part of your brain that becomes dominant when you're under stress is your lower brainstem. They call it the reptilian brain. That's where your fight or flight response is. It's your instinctive brain. And when you're under stress, it's very hard to think clearly and rationally. Typically, when you're under stress, you're very impulsive and irrational and sometimes make bad decisions because your ability to be empathetic, creative, thoughtful, rational, and logical basically goes out the window and you become like an animal, driven by primal survival instincts. There are other parts of your brain that are switched off during times of extreme stress that includes your memory. So this is why you hear testimonials sometimes from people who are involved in a car accident or an attack or something very traumatic, and they can't remember what happened. It's like they blacked out. Or when a person catches their spouse cheating on them and they go into an extreme rage and they react in a way that no rational person would. This is how powerful stress hormones can be in the body. Again, if you're trying to escape a tiger or a burning building or get out of a car that's sinking in the river, stress hormones will help you. They're good. Now, there are two kinds of stress. Acute stress is a short-term stressful event, like the things I just mentioned, fighting for your life, running from danger, or even bungee jumping. It's a stressful situation that has a beginning and an end. So let's say you're running from a tiger and you jump over a fence. Now you're safe. The fear subsides, your heart rate slows down, your muscles relax, your immune system comes back online, your digestive system starts back up, your reproductive system turns on, and you start thinking clearly and rationally again. Everything goes back to normal. You can calm down and you can relax because the fear is gone. That's good. That's the way your body responds to an acute stressful situation. We're not being attacked every day. We're not being chased by tigers. We're not living in a war zone. We're dealing with something very different. It's called chronic stress. Chronic stress is the day in, day out, grinding stress from our worries, cares, and fears, and from all the negative thoughts and emotions and all the problems we have in life. Chronic stress is the tiger you can never get away from. You can see it in the distance, it's following you, it's tracking you, and you have to keep moving because it's coming. You have a little time to rest here and there, but you always have to get up and keep moving because the tiger is coming. What chronic stress does is it keeps us in a state of elevated stress. It's not the extreme stress of a fist fight, but it's elevated stress. We're not at peace. We're not at ease. We're living day in, day out with elevated stress hormones, and they can be destructive if they're elevated for long periods of time. Cortisol promotes weight gain, which leads to insulin resistance, which leads to obesity. Cortisol and adrenaline both promote inflammation in the body, so you can end up overweight and in a state of chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is a pro-cancerous state, and obesity is the second leading cause of cancer behind cigarette smoking. When you're under stress, it also affects your digestive function. If you have suppressed digestive function because of stress, it can inhibit nutrient absorption and lead to gastrointestinal problems like acid reflux, ulcers, IBS, Crohn's, colitis, and a number of other digestive disorders. When you have chronic stress, you have suppressed immune function. When you're constantly stressed and anxious and dealing with a lot of problems in your life, your immunity is down. People who are stressed typically get sick a lot because their immune systems are weak. Stress also contributes to lack of sleep. And when you don't get enough sleep, that raises your stress hormones even more because your body thinks you need to stay awake. So that's a little bit about what stress hormones are doing in your body. They can help save your life in a dangerous situation, but if they stay elevated from chronic stress, they can be very destructive. Now let's talk about the specific ways that you can address chronic stress in your life. Here are the sources of stress that you need to identify and eliminate as much as possible. First is negativity and negative information. At no time in history has the human race been bombarded with so much negative, stressful, fear-producing information as we are right now, because we're in the information age. There are multiple news channels running 24 hours a day talking about all the problems in the world, politics, racial tension, the war on terror, the Middle East, crime, the economy, and on and on. Your brain was not designed to handle this much negative information. You don't need to know about every problem in the world. Your mind, your heart, and your soul are not capable of carrying the weight of the world. There's a famous expression in the news world: if it bleeds, it leads. News producers deliberately focus on bad news because that's what captures people's attention and gets them to tune in. When you consume the news, you're putting the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you're going to become anxious, worried, fearful, and unhappy because you're constantly reminded about all the problems in the world. Here's stress reduction step 1. Turn off the news. Stop watching it on TV and change your web browser homepage to something that doesn't display news headlines. It's tough because even on social media, we're still seeing all kinds of news and negative headlines and unhappy people. Unfollow those people or get away from social media. People have never been more unhappy than they are right now. What's making you more unhappy is tuning into all the complainers and the unhappy people in the world. Unhappiness is contagious. Get away from unhappy, negative people. People that whine and complain and attack others and are always talking about the world's problems. Tune out. You've got to get away from them and surround yourself with positivity. Instead, watch things that bring you joy and happiness and encouragement and inspiration. Focus on those things. Watch comedies, watch stand-up, watch educational and inspirational documentaries. Laughter boosts your immune system. Other media besides the news can be stress-producing. We're watching daytime dramas and primetime dramas. Drama means conflict, and conflict produces stress. We're going to see stressful movies at the movie theater. We're constantly looking for that adrenaline surge from stress because it's exciting, it's fun, and it feels good, and we become addicted to it. Many people are in a vicious cycle of stress that goes like this. Your alarm clock goes off with a buzzer or the radio blaring and wakes you up abruptly and unnaturally. Then you drink coffee. Caffeine raises your stress hormones and gives you a surge of energy, which is not natural energy, it's artificial stimulation. So you're starting out the day with an unnatural surge of stress hormones. Then you're rushing to get busy with your day and get to work. You're stressed out on the way to work, and then you're on the subway or in rush hour traffic. And then you're at work and you've got problems and deadlines, and maybe you're surrounded by people at work who are stressful to be around. If you're in an unhealthy, emotionally toxic work situation, you need to consider getting out of there. Move to a different department or location, or get a job transfer, or maybe even a new job. If you're surrounded by people that are abusing you mentally, emotionally, verbally, it's not good for you. I've talked to many people who developed cancer within a year or two of taking a new, highly stressful job. Okay, now back to the vicious stress cycle. So you're at your job, you're stressed, you're drinking coffee all day just to stay on top of things, you're eating junk food or fast food because it's quick and easy. Breakfast may have been coffee and a muffin or some kind of breakfast bar, and then lunch is a fast food meal with a giant sugary drink, and then it's back to more stress at work. Then there's more stress on the way home, fighting through rush hour traffic, getting the kids picked up and taking them places, getting the family fed. Maybe you picked up some more fast food, or maybe it's microwave dinners. And then you fix yourself a drink to unwind because you're still so worked up from all the stress of the day. Then you supplement even more stress by watching dramas or reality shows or competitions or the news for hours. And you stay up too late watching TV or surfing the internet, and you don't get enough sleep. And then you repeat the cycle the next day. Man, I'm feeling stressed just talking about all that stuff. You're probably feeling it too, right? I know some of you are thinking, that's me exactly. You can't live that way for long and stay healthy. Yes, you can get a lot done. Yes, you can make more money, but it's all worthless if you die young from a heart attack or cancer. Living in a state of chronic stress plus the addition of traumatic life events are common factors in the stories I've heard from almost every cancer patient I've ever talked to. They're in a difficult relationship, their work is demanding, their kids are crazy, they're in a vicious cycle of chronic stress, and they're basically teetering on the brink of disease. They're vertically unwell. Then one or more significant traumatic events happen in their life, and that's what pushes them over the edge. It's the tipping point. It could be a divorce, it could be a lawsuit, it could be a business failing, it could be a physical assault, it could be the death of a loved one or a pet, it could be the loss of a pregnancy, it could be a new job or a move, or many of the above happening in succession. One example I use a lot is a coaching call I did with a woman who lost a close family member and lost her best friend and had a terrible breakup with her business partner, all in the same year. It was a terrible, stressful year, and then she got a cancer diagnosis. All the chronic stress in your life, plus one or more traumatic, stressful events, could be the cancer trigger, the tipping point in your health. So here are the major sources of stress. Number one is negative information, which I just covered. Number two is people. There are people in your life that stress you out. They may be coworkers, they may be friends, they may be family members, they may be neighbors. There may be people in your life who are emotional vampires. They drain your energy. They're constantly antagonizing you or needing things from you. They're not bringing you joy or support. They're criticizing you and doing things that hurt your feelings, and they're frustrating you and they're making you unhappy. They suck you dry. They may be taking advantage of you, or they may be physically abusing you. You need to get away from these people as much as possible. There are several ways. One is you move out. If you're in an abusive relationship, you've got to get out of there as quickly as possible. And hopefully with counseling, you can eventually restore that relationship. If it's someone you don't live with, just stop calling them and then maybe not return their calls or texts so much. Just let yourself grow apart over time. If you don't want to grow apart, then you need to redefine the terms of your relationship. They need to treat you the way you want to be treated. Many times I hear from cancer patients who have difficult relationships with family members, people they really can't get away from. If you want to stay close, but you don't like the way they're treating you, you need to set some new boundaries with them. The goal is to create a peaceful, quiet life that is conducive to health and healing. Doesn't that sound nice? A peaceful, quiet life. That's what you need. It may not be that quiet if you have a bunch of kids, but you can have peace. Now, speaking of kids, your kids may be stressing you out. There's a few reasons for this. One is if they're undisciplined. If you're letting them run wild and you're letting them make decisions that you should be making for them, that's going to create a lot of chaos in your house because as a parent, you are the authority. And if you've been letting your kids do whatever they want, say whatever they want, act however they want, that's going to create a lot of problems in your house. You may need to lay down the law and set some new rules in the house with your kids and enforce them. Another example I've heard multiple times from cancer patients is that they had an adult child living with them that they let move back in. And this created a really stressful situation. Maybe this person has drug problems or they're lazy and irresponsible and the parent is just trying to rescue them, but is really just enabling them. And that person is causing the parent a lot of stress and anxiety. If that's you, it's time for some tough love. If you have a grown child, they need to be out in the world on their own. They don't need to be living at home, especially if they're making bad decisions, like not working or playing video games all day or staying out and partying every night, and then they're sponging off you and causing you stress and anxiety. I'm sure some of you might be dealing with this right now. The solution is they have to get out on their own and make mistakes and learn those hard lessons and figure out what to do with their life. The third source of stress is problems and problem avoidance. Now, we all have problems in life. Problems come and go, but it's really important to address your problems head on because procrastination and problem avoidance causes more stress and anxiety in your life. For example, a problem that I have every year is I tend to procrastinate on my taxes. And in the back of my mind, I know I haven't done my taxes. So periodically I'll have this recurring thought, you still got to do your taxes, you haven't done your taxes yet, the date's coming. And I'm getting more stressed as the date gets closer. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do my taxes. And I'm talking to myself, trying to appease my subconscious. But the longer I put it off, the more stressful it becomes. This applies to every problem we have in life. If you have unresolved problems in your life that you're putting off, that you aren't dealing with, that's going to lead you to self-medication. Stress leads to self-medication and destructive behavior. Your mind is a lot like a computer. Your conscious mind is what you're thinking about right now. So your conscious mind is like what's on your computer screen. So if you're on Facebook, your conscious mind would be focused on Facebook. Your subconscious mind is all the other information that's in your computer that's not on the screen right now. Your photos, your music, your history, your emails, all the stuff you've written, all the apps you've installed. That's your subconscious mind. It's running constantly in the background, and it's aware of all your problems all the time, even when your conscious mind is not. When you have a lot of problems in your life, people problems, negative information from the media that you're worried about, work problems, things that you're procrastinating on dealing with, all of that stuff is weighing on your subconscious mind and causing you to be stressed and anxious and unhappy. And the way that most of us are dealing with stress, anxiety, and unhappiness is by self-medication to get your mind off your problems. Being a workaholic is one way that some people do it. They just work all the time. Some people use drugs and alcohol. They use prescription drugs. They use illegal drugs. They use the drugs and alcohol to dull their senses, to calm their mind, and to forget about their problems. Because your conscience is telling you, this is wrong, this is a problem. But when you're intoxicated, you tend to think, you know what, everything's okay. It's not a problem at all. We self-medicate with media. Being constantly tuned in to the TV, to social media, to music, we are constantly distracting ourselves. Now, those things are not inherently bad. Entertainment's great. I love to go to the movies. I love to listen to music. I'm a musician. I like to get on social media and see what people are up to, but it can be done to an excess where we're doing it as an escape from our problems or from the important things in life. That's the distinction that needs to be made. One way to break this addiction is with a media fast, abstaining from all media for a few days, a few weeks, even a few months. Another way we self-medicate is through relationships and through sex. Some people are constantly pursuing relationships and sex, pursuing the attention of others and socializing, which can be a distraction from dealing with your own unhappiness and unresolved problems. Things in your present or things in your past. And then, of course, there's a big one that I haven't mentioned yet, and that's food. Food is medication. Food releases feel-good chemicals in your brain like serotonin and dopamine, especially when you eat foods that are rich in sugar, salt, and fat, the three main ingredients in all junk food. Overeating is a common way that people cope with stress. They call it stress eating. And that's why they call some foods comfort foods, because they make you feel good and temporarily alleviate stress, like ice cream, which is one of the most unhealthy foods you can eat. Another type of stress is projects. There are 3 P's of stress: people, problems, and projects. Project stress means taking on too much, saying yes to everything. If you're taking on more than you can handle, it's going to stress you out. If you have too many projects or commitments, it's going to stress you to the limit because there are only so many hours in the day. And if you're overcommitted trying to serve everyone else, guess who's going to suffer? You. And if you're trying to do too much, some things are not going to get done very well. Then not doing a good job causes you more stress, anxiety, and unhappiness because you've said yes to too many things. There's an expression called FOMO, and that's the fear of missing out. It's easy to get caught up in the trap of saying yes to everything because we're afraid we'll miss out on something great. But the truth is, you are going to miss out on things in life, and it's okay. You can't be everything to everybody, and you can't be everywhere all the time. You just have to make peace with that. Learn to say no. If you're a people pleaser, it's harder to say no. I used to say yes to everything. My wife is the opposite. Her first response to anything is always no. Her knee-jerk reaction is no, but we've helped each other. Over the years, she's learned to say yes more, and I've learned how to say no. If you're the kind of person that says yes to everything, start saying no. You just have to say no. If someone says, "Can you help me with such and such?" Just say, you know what, I'd love to, but I can't. I've got too much on my plate and I'm really trying to scale back. If you have cancer, of course, then your excuse is, hey, this cancer thing has really changed my life in a lot of ways, and I just need to simplify my life right now. What you're doing sounds like a great thing, but I just can't commit to anything else. Try to be helpful without committing to anything else. Learning to say no is so important. Now I want to circle back to problem avoidance and procrastination, because what I've found is the thing that you want to do the least is usually the thing that you need to do the most. I'm going to repeat that. The thing that you want to do the least, the thing that you're really avoiding, is usually the thing you need to do the most. Most of our problems are compartmentalized. I've got this little problem with this person over here, and I've got this little problem at work over there, and I've got this little worry over here and that fear over there, and they're all isolated. But the truth is, all of those problems are not isolated. They're all your problems, and they're all piled on your shoulders. And your subconscious mind is aware of them all the time. This is what leads people to have panic attacks. People that stay stressed and anxious and worried tend to have panic attacks because they have all these unresolved problems in their life. And instead of facing their problems, they're constantly running from them and trying not to think about them and being busy. Busyness is another form of problem avoidance. Facing down your problems and solving them is key to reducing your stress. Because as soon as you solve a problem, that stress floats away. As soon as I sit down and start working on my taxes, I feel less stressed about it. And then when I finish my taxes, guess what happens to the stress? It's gone. I have zero stress about my taxes. You have to get busy solving your problems. The best way to do this is to make a to-do list. I hope you'll open up your notepad or get out a piece of paper and take some notes as I'm talking. So let's make a list of your stressors. You can call this stresses to eliminate. This is your to-do list. One by one, write down the things in your life that are stressing you out. There are 3 categories: problems, people, and projects. This is a 2-column worksheet. Divide the page in half, and the first column is your stresses, and the second column is what you're going to do to solve that stress. Problem and solution. Your first stress on the list could be current events, right? All the world's problems you're hearing about on the news every night. That goes in the first column. The second column is where you ask yourself, how can I solve this problem? How can I remove this stress from my life? The answer? Stop watching the news. It also may be get off social media. Get on a low information diet and tune out. The truth is, a lot of problems are very simple to solve. They're not necessarily easy, but most problems have a simple solution. Next, write down the people in your life that stress you out, one by one, and why they stress you out, and what you need to do about it. So for some people, the solution is get away from this person, right? You just need to cut ties with them. For others, it may be we need to talk. Maybe you've been afraid of that talk. You've been avoiding it and it's really stressing you out. Now is the time to have that important talk. I had a friend that I was close to for years, but he became a very difficult person to be friends with. I tried to be a loyal friend to him because I knew he needed one, but finally one day after a disturbing exchange, I said to him, you know what, I just realized something. We're not friends. If we were friends, you wouldn't be treating me this way. And I ended the friendship. It made me kind of sad at the time, but it was the right thing to do because he wasn't a true friend and he was a source of stress to me. You may have some people like that in your life. We call them frenemies. So make a list of the people in your life that stress you out, and then next to that person, you need to write the solution, what you need to do. You know what you need to do. You just need to muster up a little courage and do it. Either get away from them, end the relationship, or redefine the relationship on your terms. Put them on probation, and if they don't treat you the way you deserve to be treated, move on. Now, as we keep going down the list, write down your problems. I need to do my taxes. That's a problem. Schedule a time on your calendar to do them. Another problem may be your house is cluttered. that means you need to get rid of stuff. Now, you have two options, sell it or give it away. If the thought of selling everything on eBay and organizing a yard sale is stressful, then the easiest solution for you is to give it all away. Load it up in the car, take it to Goodwill, get yourself a tax deduction, and be done with it. That's what we've done for years, because for us, the amount of money we might make from a yard sale is not worth the amount of time, energy, and effort it takes to put on a yard sale. So after you've listed your problems, then list your projects, the things that you're committed to. This includes your extracurricular activities, your kids' extracurricular activities, organizations, boards you're a part of, sports and hobbies. I'm a musician. I've been in bands and toured and did all that stuff for years. It was never a serious career pursuit for me, just a noisy hobby. But I eventually just came to the point where I decided to stop doing it. As much as I loved it, it was taking away from time with my family. And I realized that having dinner every night with my wife and kids was more important than band practice or socializing or business networking or anything else I could be doing at night. So I made a decision to stop doing things at night. Your family is so important, and I just want to encourage you to scale way back, to reduce, to simplify your life. Time with your family is such a wonderful thing. Okay, so list out your projects, everything that's taking up your time that you can eliminate. Doesn't mean you can't add some of those things back later, but for now, you need as few commitments as possible, because commitments create anxiety, which creates stress, which promotes disease. Now, we need to talk a little bit more about the people in your life. A major source of stress is unforgiveness. And we need to examine our attitudes and our emotions because our own thoughts produce stress for us. There's a verse in the Bible that says, "Take every thought captive." What that means is being mindful of your thoughts, of what you're thinking. Today they call it mindfulness. Growing up, I was a skinny little kid and I got made fun of a little bit because of it. I wanted to be normal like everybody else, but I wasn't. I was musical and artistic, and I went to a small school, and I didn't really fit in. And as I got older, I became increasingly more insecure and resentful and unhappy. I became envious, critical, and judgmental of others, and mean. And I ran around with some of the other kids who were the same way. They were troublemakers, and they were bad influences on me. I was a bitter, critical, unhappy kid that became a bitter, critical, unhappy adult. In my early 20s, I learned what it really meant to be a Christian, and I gave up the sinful lifestyle I was leading. I was trying to be a good person and to live a good life and to honor God and make good choices, but emotionally, I still struggled. Old habits die hard, and I constantly wrestled with negative thoughts, attitudes, and emotions like insecurity, envy, jealousy, resentment, and unforgiveness. After my cancer diagnosis, I read a few books that talked about how important forgiveness was to healing and how important it was to choose to have a positive attitude instead of a negative attitude. So I made a conscious decision to start thinking differently about people. If I started to feel envious of someone, I would catch myself and I would talk myself out of it and say, you know what, their life seems better than mine, but thank you, God, that I'm alive, that I have what I have, because I know there are people that have so much less. I'm not going to be jealous of this person. Gratitude is the secret to happiness. Every opportunity you have to exercise gratitude and thankfulness will increase happiness and joy in your life. Remember, life isn't fair. There will always be people more fortunate or more privileged than you. If you constantly compare yourself to those people, you will stay envious, resentful, and unhappy. But instead, if you start comparing yourself and your situation to people who have less than you, you will realize how good your life is and how much you have to be grateful for. Happiness comes from gratitude, and gratitude comes from comparing yourself to people who are less fortunate and counting your blessings and realizing how good your life really is. If you've never been to a third world country, go. It's a complete mind reset. It's a complete heart reset because you will see what true poverty looks like. There are very few people in America that live in true poverty. America's poor are still richer than most of the people in the world. If you make $32,000 a year, you're in the top 1% richest people in the world. We live in one of the greatest countries in the world. Why aren't we giving thanks to God every day for this? Instead, I see Americans protesting about all sorts of things and making themselves miserable and complaining about how much money the top 1% in America have. Just stop. When you see true poverty firsthand, you realize how rich you really are. So I just want to encourage you to stop focusing on people who have more than you. That fosters jealousy, envy, and resentment, which are negative, stress-producing emotions. Instead, focus on people who are less fortunate. This will create compassion, gratitude, and thankfulness in your heart. This is such an important thing, and it will make a huge difference when you start catching your negative thoughts and changing them. When I catch myself thinking critically or judging people, I just say, no, you know what? I'm being critical and I shouldn't be. I'm not going to do that. Forgive me, God. I don't know anything about their life or their situation, and so I'm just going to choose to think the best about them. It's a conscious effort. You have to catch yourself and then choose to think differently. Take every thought captive because you control your thoughts, and your thoughts control your emotions. But a lot of the time, we let our emotions control us. We're ruled by our emotions, but you don't have to be. If you let your emotions rule you, you will make impulsive, irrational decisions, and you will be unhappy. If you choose your thoughts, you can choose your emotions. If you choose to think positively, that will produce happiness in your mind and your heart. There are 3 types of cancer patients. The first type of patient is positive and optimistic. They're hopeful, they're encouraging other patients, and they're excited about the future and about getting well. The second type of cancer patient is fearful. Now, they're all a little bit fearful, but some are overwhelmed by fear, and you can see it in their face, you can see it in their eyes. They're afraid to hope. The third type of patient is negative and bitter and unhappy, and you hear it when they open their mouth. I had a small epiphany while visiting a cancer clinic in Baja, Mexico last year. The clinic was on a beach, and I walked down to the beach by myself one sunny afternoon. It was a small beach surrounded by rocky cliffs. It was beautiful. And when I got down to the beach, I noticed that there was some trash left there by beachgoers. And I was thinking about a couple of the patients that I had talked to at the clinic and how different their attitudes were. One was positive and optimistic, and one was extremely negative. And I realized that those 2 people could have a completely different experience on this beach just based on their attitude and how they chose to perceive the world. The happy, optimistic person would probably say something like, wow, like this is amazing. This is a beautiful beach. Like, oh, there's some trash over there. Let's pick it up. The negative person would say, this beach is dirty. This beach is nasty. Look at that trash over there. Same beach, 2 different perspectives. You have to make the choice to see the good, to look for the good in every situation, to look for the silver lining and not to focus on the cloud. Some people, you can put them in the best situation in the world and they will still find the one tiny negative speck to complain about. I used to be like that, and if that's you now, I want to encourage you to stop doing that. Catch yourself doing it and stop. It's a practice. It takes practice to think positively, to say to yourself, I'm going to think positively about this. How can I put a positive spin on this situation? I want to encourage you to do that. The next thing we have to do is forgive, because harboring bitterness and resentment and unforgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping it kills someone else. Unforgiveness poisons your body. It will make you sick. That's how powerful unforgiveness is. It's one of the most destructive emotions. It causes some of the highest levels of stress and anxiety in the body. This is where you may need to make a separate list and call it the forgiveness list. This is a list of people that you need to forgive. We all have people that we need to forgive. They may have hurt you today or yesterday or a few years ago or even decades ago. Now is the time to clean house and forgive. I want to tell you a story. I've been in the real estate business for 14 years and I have some rental properties. Years ago, I bought a little 2-bedroom house down the street from my house, and a middle-aged woman who had just gotten divorced applied to rent it. She was in a difficult situation and I had compassion for her, so I rented her the house. A few days after she moved in, I stopped by to see how things were going, and to my surprise, the house reeked of cat urine. She had 2 or 3 cats that apparently had peed on everything she owned. Her rugs, her furniture, her clothes. And I was just like, great. Every time I checked on the house, it was messy and dirty and it smelled like a giant litter box, and it really bothered me. I could have not renewed her lease the next year, but she paid the rent on time every month, so I just let it ride. After she'd been there a few years, I didn't hear from her much. There was no maintenance requests, and every time I made an appointment with her to come do an inspection, she would put me off or ask for more time or cancel at the last minute, saying she was sick or whatever. And I knew the house was going to be a mess, and I really didn't want to see it because I knew it was going to upset me. So I basically just gave up on doing inspections with her. And a few more years went by. Then one October, I didn't get the rent. So I called to see what was going on, and her phone was disconnected. So I stopped by the house and she wasn't home. I couldn't tell if she was still living there, so I peeked in through the living room window, and the living room was full of garbage. I could not believe what I was seeing. It was knee-deep, waist-deep in some places of just pure garbage. Newspapers, pizza boxes, liquor bottles, magazines, cat food tins, all the trash that you would normally throw away and get out of your house. But apparently she wasn't doing that. And I'm thinking, what is going on here? Is this lady like a garbage hoarder? The next day, I came back by the house and her car was there. So I knocked on the door and she cracked the door just enough to peek out at me. And I said, hey, I didn't get the rent this month and I haven't heard from you, and I've seen inside the house. What's going on? And she said, I'm having some emotional problems. And I said, well, it's not safe for you to live here. You need to go ahead and move out. And she said, I'll be out by Monday. I came back on Monday and she was gone. But she left me a house full of garbage. It was an absolute disgusting mess, and it cost me over $11,000 to clean it out and get it rentable again. It was that bad. The crew cleaning out the house actually found one of her cats dead under a pile of garbage. So she trashed my house, literally, and cost me a lot of money. You're probably thinking that this story is about me forgiving her. Of course, I was frustrated and furious with her, but I also felt sorry for her and I actually forgave her right away. That's not why I told you the story. There are 2 huge lessons here. The first one is I knew I had a problem and I avoided it, and it got worse and worse and worse. Yes, she destroyed my house. That's on her. But I could have avoided this if I had dealt with the problem years earlier and moved her out. But it was easier to avoid the problem, to pretend it didn't exist, and to procrastinate than to deal with it. That's on me, my fault. The second lesson is even more important. When people hurt you, it's like they make a deposit of trash in your house. If you throw a big party and a ton of people show up and party all night, the next morning you're going to wake up to a messy house with bottles, plates, cans, and cups all over your house that you have to clean up. Imagine if you never cleaned that up and then you just threw all of your garbage on the floor every day. Over time, you would have a house like my rental house. All the hurts, the injuries, the insults, the people that have let you down, that have lied to you, cheated you, stolen from you, abused you, they've all left a deposit of trash in your house, in your heart. And over time, it piles up. More and more and more. And eventually you have a disgusting, polluted house. And you have a polluted heart. You have a sick heart. If you have a sick heart, you're going to have a sick body. The only solution is to clean out your house, to clean out your heart. Forgiveness is how you do that. Forgiveness is like taking out the trash. When someone hurts you, it's like they make a little deposit of trash in your house. Then you pick it up, you put it in the garbage can, you take it out to the street, and you let God come, the garbage man, and pick it up and carry it away. That is how you clean out your heart, how you get rid of all the stress that comes from bitterness, resentment, and unforgiveness. You can also think of it like a paper cut. Every time someone hurts you, it's like a paper cut on your heart. One little paper cut is not a big deal, but hundreds or thousands of paper cuts later, you're going to have a scarred up heart. Forgiveness heals your heart. Now, there's a very specific way to pray to forgive someone, and I want to walk you through this. You close your eyes and get into a prayerful state, and then you think of a person that's hurt you and what they did to you, and you say, God, you know what they did, and you know how I feel about it. I'm angry, I'm upset, they hurt me, but I am choosing to forgive them. I'm letting it go, and I'm giving it to you. They're all yours. I'm not going to hold it against them anymore, and I'm asking you to bless them. When you pray that way, something really amazing happens. You're giving God permission to come in and heal your heart and take away that hurt, that injury, and to clean out that trash in your heart that's been polluting it, especially when you ask God to bless the people that have hurt you. I know that sounds crazy because when people hurt you, you don't want God to bless them. You want them to be struck by lightning. The good news is you don't have to want God to bless them. You don't have to be insincere, and you don't have to fake it. Let me explain this in a different way. If you work with someone who is really awesome at their job, let's say they're a really great salesperson, but behind the scenes, they were a jerk. And let's say your boss came to you and said, I want to ask you about your coworker. Based on their sales, do they deserve a promotion? Now, part of you is thinking, no, they're a jerk. They don't deserve a promotion because I don't like them. But you're also thinking, well, if we're just talking about their job performance, then yes, I guess they do deserve a promotion. So despite your personal feelings, you might tell your boss, yes, they deserve a promotion, even though you really don't want them to have the promotion. That's doing the right thing. Forgiveness is the same way. When you ask God to bless someone, you're doing the right thing because He knows you don't want Him to. He knows you would rather see them suffer and get what they deserve. But instead, you're asking Him to bless them. And He will honor you and bless you for that. And He'll heal your heart. Forgive them, let it go, and ask God to bless them. And anytime you have hurt feelings about that person again, you just have to go back to forgiveness. I think a lot of people misunderstand forgiveness because they think it's a feeling. And they tell themselves, I'll forgive that person when I'm not mad anymore. Or I'll forgive them when they're sorry. Or when they apologize. That's not the way forgiveness works. Forgiveness is not a feeling. It's a choice. It's a decision that you make despite your feelings. Sometimes you can pray to forgive someone one time and you know it's done. But other times with some people, depending on how much they've hurt you, you really have to work at forgiveness. You have to continue to forgive and continue to give them to God. You just keep sticking with your decision. I liken forgiveness to a healthy diet. If you eat healthy for a few weeks and then go back to eating a junk food diet, it's not going to help you. A healthy diet only really works if you stick with it. And forgiveness is the same way. It only works if you stick with it. Forgiveness is a decision for life. When you forgive someone, it's not just for today. You are forgiving them for life. That's what true forgiveness is. You're making a decision for life. Now, if they hurt you again, don't unforgive them for all the stuff in the past and let all that bitterness take over again. You just forgive them for the new thing and let it go. I think it helps to accept the fact that some people are just awful. You don't know why they are, they just are. Unrealistic expectations is a source of so much unhappiness in our lives. When we expect people to treat us in a certain way and then they don't, it hurts our feelings. If we expect people to be nice to us when they're not nice people, it hurts our feelings. But when you're honest with yourself and when you start to expect people to act how they really are, then you're not setting yourself up for disappointment. It's important in this process of forgiving people and dealing with people who are hurting you on a regular basis that you don't expect them to be nice to you if they're not nice people. That will help you. And you still need to forgive them. Forgiveness is like a healthy diet. You have to stick with it. And you have to exercise your forgiveness muscle. Being quick to forgive is critical because people are going to hurt you today, tomorrow, next week. People will disappoint you, let you down, insult you, hurt your feelings, stand you up, and maybe worse. But no matter what happens to you, you need to be quick to forgive because unforgiveness is so toxic, so poisonous, and so destructive. I've coached hundreds of cancer patients that had major unforgiveness in their life from abusive relationships, from parents who divorced or abandoned them, from bosses or coworkers that treated them terribly, from friends who betrayed their trust or dropped them as a friend. Maybe you've been stolen from, lied to, cheated on, whatever. It doesn't matter what they did to you. What matters is that you forgive them and let them go. Do a mental inventory and make a list of everyone you need to forgive, and then one by one go down the list. Get in a prayerful state and pray the way I told you to pray. Blanket forgiveness doesn't work. Forgive each person by name and then check them off the list as done. You can save it for future reference or you can light it on fire and burn it ceremonially, whatever. Some people that you need to forgive are obvious. Those are the ones that pop in your head right away. But there are other people from your past that you haven't thought about in a long time. You've put them out of your mind, but you haven't forgiven them. This exercise will help you remember those people and clean out that old trash in your house. Close your eyes, get quiet, and think through your life chronologically. Start as early as you can remember. Think about what it was like to be little. Think about the people in your life back then. Think about your mom and dad or your siblings and what they were like. Think about other family members, kids at school and in the neighborhood. Think back through your life. Kindergarten, first grade, second grade. Walk through your memories and actively try to remember the people who have hurt you. Kids on the playground, family members, strangers, whoever. As you do this, things will come up. You will remember people and things that you haven't thought of in a long time. Forgive them immediately. Think through your life and all the different experiences you've had and people you've encountered and just start forgiving like crazy. You need to go into that closet in your mind where you keep all the painful memories and clean it out. You need to get this weight off your shoulders. This is so important. One of the scariest verses in the Bible is Matthew 6:15, when Jesus says, "If you don't forgive on earth, your Father will not forgive you in heaven." That's pretty serious. So if there's any reason to forgive, that's a pretty important one right there. It's a commandment from Jesus Christ to forgive. He also said, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. The world needs that message now more than ever. Now, forgiveness happens in several directions. The first way is you forgive the people that have hurt you. We just covered that. The second way is you may need to ask for forgiveness from people that you've hurt. And if there are people in your life that you're out of sorts with, you need to make amends, to reconcile. By the way, this is a good time to play the cancer card. Just go to those people and say, hey, I've got cancer and I'm really trying to change my life, and I just want you to know I'm really sorry about what I said, about what I did, about what happened, and I hope you'll forgive me. Just humble yourself and admit that you were wrong and ask for forgiveness. The best possible response is the person says, I'm sorry too, I forgive you, I love you, let's hug. But they may say, I hate you and I'll never forgive you. If that happens, it's okay. Don't retaliate. Just say, I understand. I just want you to know that I really am sorry. Don't make excuses for what you did. Just admit you were wrong and ask for forgiveness. That's all it needs to be. Doesn't matter if they forgive you or not. What matters is that you ask for forgiveness. Whether they choose to forgive you or not is up to them, but the weight will be lifted off of you once you humble yourself, admit you're wrong, and ask for forgiveness. and then you can move on with your life. You may find after some time goes by that they have a change of heart, but you can't just apologize and expect everything to be okay immediately. If you're sincere, asking for forgiveness can be the first step toward mending a broken relationship. Forgive the people that have hurt you, ask for forgiveness from the people that you've hurt, and ask God for forgiveness. When you forgive people that have hurt you, you're dealing with bitterness and resentment. When you ask people to forgive you for what you've done, you're dealing with guilt and shame. Next, you need to go to God and ask God to forgive you for your mistakes, for the wrong things you've done, for the sin in your life, for your thoughts and attitudes and actions, the way you've treated people. If you're carrying guilt and shame from your past for your mistakes, you need to go to God and give Him your guilt and your shame and ask for forgiveness. There's a verse in 1 John 1:9 in the Bible that says, if we confess our sins, He's faithful and just to forgive us and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. What this verse is saying is that God loves you and He wants to forgive you, and all you have to do is just confess to Him. You don't need to go to a priest. You just need to get with God. Just confess your sins to Him, and it says He will forgive you and purify you and cleanse you from all unrighteousness. That means He's giving you a clean slate. Imagine if you wrote all your sins on a whiteboard in front of God. It would fill up the entire whiteboard. It would be completely black. And then you say, I'm sorry, I've done all these bad things, forgive me. And He says, yes, I will, I forgive you. And then He gets the eraser and erases them all, and it's done. He will not hold them against you anymore. You are free from the mistakes of your past. Once you understand that God loves you and that He's willing to forgive you, then you can forgive yourself. There's no reason you should beat yourself up and not forgive yourself for your past mistakes. Once you understand, once you know in your heart that God loves you and is willing to forgive you if you ask. One of the most beautiful parables in the Bible about how God relates to us is the parable of the prodigal son. This is a parable that Jesus told about a young man who decided that he wanted his inheritance early. His father was wealthy and he said, Dad, I'm moving to the city and I want all my inheritance now. So his father gave him his inheritance and he moved away. He moved to the city, lived it up, partied, made a bunch of new friends, and was a big shot for a while until he ran out of money. And then all his new friends left him, and the only job he could find was feeding pigs. He was so broke that he found himself eating pig slop because he was so hungry. While he's working this job, feeding pigs and eating pig slop, he realizes that his father's servants had a better life than he did. So he thinks to himself, there's no way my father would take me back as his son after what I've done. But maybe he'll let me be one of his servants. At least I'll have a better place to stay and food to eat, because anything is better than this. He was ashamed to return home, having foolishly wasted his inheritance. But he makes the journey back to his father's estate, and as he approaches, his father sees him coming from a distance, and he runs to meet him, and he greets him, and he hugs him, and he kisses him, and he takes him into the main house and gets him cleaned up and puts a robe on him and puts a ring on his finger and throws a big celebration. His father had every right to disown him and send him away. But instead, he forgave him and he brought him right back into the family. That's a picture of how God relates to us. Because even if we spend most of our lives running from God or rejecting Him, as soon as we turn back to Him, He's there with open arms, ready to embrace you and bring you into the family. It's a beautiful parable about how much God loves us and how quick He is to forgive us no matter what we've done if we just return to Him. God loves you, He wants to forgive you, and there's no reason you can't forgive yourself once you understand that He is willing to forgive you. Reducing stress involves not only the physical things in your life that are causing stress, bad habits, negative information, people, problems, and projects, but also what's going on in your mind. Negative attitudes and emotions that you're harboring, like bitterness, resentment, and unforgiveness, all must be addressed. You've got to face your problems head on. You've got to make a plan. And once the plan is in motion, your stress will be lifted immediately. Get busy solving your problems. As soon as you start to take action to solve your problems, to remove stress, to forgive, to have those difficult conversations you need to have, as soon as you take action and get the ball rolling, you will feel the weight of that stress begin to lift off of your shoulders. So I want to encourage you to get busy. Take immediate action. Do not procrastinate any longer. Solve as many of your problems and forgive everyone who has hurt you as fast as you can. The final thing is fear. Fear is a stress-producing emotion. We're coming full circle here. I talked about fear in the beginning, running from a tiger. And if you've been diagnosed with cancer, you're afraid. You're afraid of suffering. You're afraid of what the future holds. You're worried about your family and your loved ones. Most cancer patients are super stressed before they're diagnosed. And then the diagnosis is a stress bomb. A cancer diagnosis is such a traumatic life event that it can cause PTSD symptoms like panic attacks, depression, and further immunosuppression. What I want you to do now is I want you to give your fear to God. The way you forgive is the same way you deal with fear. You give the people that have hurt you to God, and you give your fear to God. When you make your to-do list to deal with the things you're stressed about, cancer is definitely in there, right? The fear of cancer, the fear of suffering, that's stressful. Now, a lot of the items on the list are problems you can solve, and that's why we're making a to-do list. But some of them may be problems that you can't solve. Those are the ones you have to give to God. And fear is one of them. The fear of cancer, the fear of death, worries about the future. You have to give all of your fear and worries to God. 1 Peter 5:7 says, "Cast all of your cares on Him because He loves you and He cares for you." Psalm 55:22 says, "Cast your burden upon the Lord and He will sustain you. He will never allow the righteous to be shaken." Cast your cares on Jesus. Give your fear to God. Lay it down. Fear is something I dealt with every day when I had cancer. Most days I would get distracted, busy, and working, and I'd forget about cancer for a little while. But then I'd be reminded, and here comes the tidal wave of fear. But I learned to catch myself right in that fearful moment and say, "God, I'm giving you my fear. I'm not going to be afraid. I trust you. You're in control. Just show me what I need to do. Show me what I need to change. I trust you." That's the way I prayed every day, multiple times a day. Every time I felt the fear, I would just grab a hold of it and I would give it to God and say, "I trust you. I'm not going to be afraid." In the middle of fear is when you exercise your faith. If you're fearful and you're doubting, then you're not in faith. You can't doubt and believe at the same time. You have to choose to believe that God will work this out for your good. You have to choose to trust. You have to choose not to be afraid, to give all the what ifs, the uncertainty, and the fear to God. You have to stop worrying about the future and realize that the future is in His hands. Yes, your choices matter, but ultimately your future is in His hands. Do everything you can do to support health and healing in your body and trust God with the rest. Trust Him with your future. I want to close with Jeremiah 29:11, which says, "I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you, to give you a hope and a future." Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.
Hi, my name is Kathy, and I was diagnosed with infiltrating ductal carcinoma in February of 2016. So I have been on this journey for 2.5 years, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I did all the conventional things first, like the mammograms, the ultrasounds, biopsy, and when I met with the surgeon, that was a defining moment for me because they were rushing me into surgery. I didn't have time to think. My mind was just full of fear, and I just thought, I need some time to think, some time to pray, some time to see what my body will do to heal. So I started on a search to find answers, and I found answers. I probably ordered 3 books a week from Amazon and read everything I could get my hands on about healing and the body healing itself and just giving the body what it needs to heal. I think probably my only regret was not finding Square One soon enough, because everything's in one place. All the basics that we need about diet and exercise and just a holistic approach to healing with so many different facets of health. So I started with Square One and completed the everything in it. I've looked at the modules several times and I learned something every time. I think if I had any advice to give anybody starting on this journey, it would be, don't be afraid, be fearless, seek, look for answers, and you'll find them. And Square One is a great place to start to find those answers. I think one of the things that helped me the most on Chris's website is the component that has the interviews. Because every time I would get discouraged or I would feel like I wasn't doing something right, I would look at one of the interviews specific to breast cancer for me. And it was amazing how those would just be, it would be the right one I would need at the time. I know there was once I felt like the tumor had, it wasn't going away. It's still there. And then I heard an interview from a lady that said it took hers 8 years to go completely away. So, my journey's only been 2.5 years. I don't have any regrets. I'm very grateful that I found the Square One program. And good luck on your journey.
Hey, it's Chris again. Thank you so much for watching Square One. My goal is to give you hope, clarity, and confidence, and to help you understand that your choices matter and that you have the power to affect your future. Square One is a simple step-by-step action plan to help you increase your odds of survival and healing, or decrease your odds of ever getting cancer in the first place. I created this course to serve you. That's why I'm putting all 10 videos online for free for 10 days. Square One is different than other programs because people aren't just watching it one time. They're going through it over and over and over again. This information is valuable, and there's a lot to implement, right? Owning Square One gives you the freedom to go through it multiple times at your own pace and incorporate these principles into your life. And it gives you the freedom to share it with the people that you care about. There's a lot more to the Square One program than just the video modules. We have an amazing support community, and I'd like to take a minute to talk about everything you get if you purchase the program and join our community. Is that okay? All right, so you get all 10 video modules, the equivalent of 10 hours of one-on-one coaching with me that you can access anytime online or on DVD. You also get the Square One transcripts book. Everything that's covered in the videos is in the transcripts book. It has a references section and a comprehensive A to Z index in the back that you can use to quickly look up any topic that I cover in the course, like turmeric, frankincense, broccoli, or breast cancer. You get the idea, right? You also get the Square One guidebook. The guidebook includes the daily schedule, which gives you a simple healing routine to follow. The guidebook also contains the Square One recipe guide, the supplement guide, and the healthy home guide, which will help you replace all of the toxic cleaning products and personal care products with non-toxic brands. The guidebook also includes the testing and monitoring guide and my Cancer Clinic Rolodex. This is a list of practitioners and clinics that I have confidence in. If you or someone you know ever decides to go to a clinic, this will be a great resource for you. You also get the Square One audiobook, so you can listen to this program anywhere you are. In addition to all that, you're going to get 7 bonuses. Bonus number 1 is you get access to the private Q&As that I do for Square One members every month for the next 6 months. So every month I get on a live video call with members of the Square One community and I answer as many of your questions as I can in 2 hours. It's really fun and everyone always has a great time. Bonus number 2 is the Cancer Answers ebook. This book contains answers to the most commonly asked questions that I've gotten from Square One members over the years. The third bonus, and the best part about Square One, is access to our private online support group, which is full of amazing people who have healed or are in the process of healing cancer holistically. Nearly every week, people are sharing testimonials of healing. Blood work is improving. Tumors are shrinking or disappearing. Scans are coming back clear. It's amazing. When I was diagnosed with cancer, there were no holistic cancer support groups where I live or on the internet. I had to go through this thing all alone back in 2004. But in the Square One support group, you will get so much love, encouragement, inspiration, and resources. And lifetime access to our support group is included when you buy the program and become a part of the Square One community today. On top of all that, you'll also get access to my Kitchen Masterclass, my Dinners with Chris series, and my Water Fasting Masterclass, all for free. Okay, the last bonus I'm going to give you is a digital buddy pass. I hope you've been taking notes on all these bonuses. The digital buddy pass allows you to give online access to the Square One program to someone you care about, to another cancer patient or a family member or friend, and they'll have lifetime online access to the entire program just like you. So it's 2 for the price of 1. Okay, so those are the 7 bonuses worth over $600 that are included when you get started right now. Now, I should mention that there are 3 different options to owning Square One. There's a digital package, which gives you lifetime access to the program in our online membership site. There's a physical package, which gives you all the videos on DVD, printed copies of the transcripts book and guidebook, and the downloadable audiobook. And then there's the combo, which is the most popular package, and it includes everything. Online access to Square One in our membership site, plus we ship you the DVDs and the guidebooks. Okay, so those are your 3 options. Right now, during the 10-day free screening, the Square One program is 50% off. But after the free screening ends, the 50% discount goes away and the price goes back up. So if you want to own the Square One program forever, now's the best time to get it before the price goes back up. The last thing I have to mention is the guarantee. Square One comes with a 6-month, 100% satisfaction guarantee. If any time in the next 6 months you decide Square One isn't for you, just let me know and I'll give you a full refund minus shipping. I know how expensive cancer can get, and there's a lot of stuff you need to spend money on, healthy food, supplements, treatments, and all kinds of stuff. And I don't want you to have any concerns that the Square One program won't help you or that you can't do it. And 6 months gives you plenty of time to go through the course multiple times, to get in our support group, to get on the live Q&A calls, and really immerse yourself in this life-changing process. So you have no financial risk whatsoever. Okay, so you get a 50% discount right now and a 6-month money-back guarantee. But the discount ends when the free screening ends. Just click the button below this video to jump on it now before the price goes back up. If you need any help, just click the chat button on the bottom right or the link at the bottom of this page. I've got an amazing team of support angels ready to help you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next module.